thank you so much for braving the rain and the cold and the Red Sox crowds to come and support my concert. I really appreciate it. This is the Melody for Murder book launch and concert. So before we jump in, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen so that you'll feel completely in the know. We're going to play some music to set an atmosphere, and in between each little atmosphere, John is going to read a little bit from the book. So you'll get a little flavor from the book, and you'll get a little atmosphere, and not too much of anything, just little. And the hope is that if you enjoy what you're hearing, that you will go to Amazon.com and that you will order my book. It's called Melody for Murder. It's very reasonably priced, and I do think you'll like it, but you're going to get a chance to check it out today. So without further ado, let it begin. I'd like to introduce to you my amazing band, the Bon Voyage Jazz Quartet. On saxophone, Diane Wernick. On bass, Skip Smith. On drums, Phil Neighbors. And narrating for you this evening will be the incomparable John Voight. And now it begins, Melody for Murder. Life without you is a sad song. Each night I go to bed alone with my blues. Did you think I wouldn't care about your little love affair? Do you take me for a fool? Lately I'm singing a new song, a melody I will dedicate to you, the man who broke my tender heart, the man who tore my life apart, a lying bastard through and through. It's a melody, for murder. You cheated on me, baby, but I've got a big surprise for you. I'm singing a melody for murder. For you, baby, and I'll get you if it's the last thing I cheated on me, baby, but I've got a big surprise I'm singing a melody for murder. Look both ways when you cross the street. You never know when we might meet. Watch your back and one thing more. Put a new lock on your door. 'Cause I'm gunning for you, baby, and I'll get you if it's the last thing I do.
Melody for Murder by Carolyn Marie Wilkins. Chapter 1, Friday, December 21st, 2012. Bertie Bigelow had not had a decent night's sleep in over a week. Since the incident last Saturday, she tossed and turned into the wee hours every night, her mind a tumult of doubt and recrimination. As the founder and director of the Metro Community College Choir, Bertie was an old hand at coping with dramatic situations. Tantrums, turmoil, and tears were par for the course in the hours before an important performance. But this year's Christmas concert had been different. Never before had a student taken such flagrant advantage of her trust. For days after the concert, Bertie refused to set foot on campus. She graded her exams at home, steadfastly ignoring the messages piling up in her email inbox. But finally, on the last day of the semester, she had agreed to meet her best friend, Ellen Simpson, in the Starbucks across the street from school. In 10 years of teaching, I thought I'd seen it all, Bertie said. I've had gangbangers, thugs, and hustlers in my choir, but none of them has ever pulled a stunt like this, ever. She stirred her latte and stared glumly out the window at the students picking their way through the snow and slush on Halsted Avenue. I'm lucky I didn't get fired. Short and soft-spoken with a full bosom and generous hips, Bertie Bigelow was just shy of 40. With her thin lips and aquiline nose, she liked to think she looked a lot like Lena Horne, if perhaps a bit heavier. As usual, she was impeccably turned out in an elegant black power suit, her reddish-brown hair straightened to within an inch of its life and cut so that it framed her tan face in perfect symmetry. Have you ever even looked at the video? Ellen said, reaching across the table to pat her best friend on the arm. You know how critical you are. I'll bet it wasn't nearly as bad as you think. Referred to as the dynamic duo by the students at Metro Community College, Bertie and Ellen had been friends for nearly 10 years. While Bertie was short and round, Ellen Simpson was tall and slender with ebony skin, a raspy voice, and a no-nonsense afro. As chairman of the English department, Ellen was as well known for her sharp tongue as for the colorful African dresses she wore. You're only saying that because you weren't there, Bertie replied, shaking her head mournfully. Fat chance, Ellen said tartly. But until this college recognizes Kwanzaa as an official school holiday, I am boycotting all college-sponsored Christmas celebrations. Whatever this horrible incident was, Professor Bigelow, you're going to have to tell me about it yourself. I'm sure it's all over YouTube by now anyway, Bertie said with a sigh. Located in a squat concrete fortress at the epicenter of Chicago's impoverished South Side, Metro Community College was the last remaining cultural outlet in this once vibrant area. More than 2,000 people had turned out to hear Bertie's choir perform, and the Metro Performance Center had buzzed with anticipation as the evening began. Every seat in the house was taken, Bertie continued, and just in case I wasn't feeling enough pressure, Alderman Clark and Mayor Davis were sitting in the first row next to our beloved Chancellor Grant. Ellen, an outspoken left-wing activist, pulled a sour face at the mention of Grant's name. I can see that pathetic old toady kissing up to those politicians now, she said. Bobbing her head submissively, she continued in an exaggerated Southern accent. Metro College show enough working wonders with these here underprivileged masters there, Mr. Boss Man. Just listen to my little old darky singing. Bertie giggled. Don't start with this mess, Ellen. Let me finish telling you what happened. After a week of self-imposed isolation, Bertie was eager to tell Ellen her version of the story. By all means, my dear, Elephant laughed, out with it. As she relived the events leading up to the incident, Bertie felt her stomach tighten. How could she have failed to anticipate such a terrible disaster? As usual, she'd rehearsed the choir right up until the last moment, making sure the performance was as polished as possible. When she walked out onto the stage in her favorite evening gown and a pair of 4-inch Italian heels, Bertie had been absolutely certain the evening would be a success. Everything was going along perfectly, she said. The altos were in tune for once. The tenors even remembered their lyrics. Tamara Dupre sang "Oh Holy Night" so beautifully that even old man Grant was wiping away the tears. And then it happened. What happened? Come on, Bertie. The suspense is killing me. LaShawn Thomas happened, Bertie said. Tall and spindly, LaShawn Thomas had cornrowed hair, big ears, chocolate-colored skin, and an infectious smile. The boy had been Bertie's special project for over a year. For his first 6 months at Metro, LaShawn barely said a word. But after Bertie had encouraged him to join the choir, he blossomed into a star performer. This semester, LaShawn had even made the dean's list. Just before LaShawn's number, Bertie introduced the two politicians sitting in the front row to the audience. As the crowd applauded dutifully, Mayor Davis, a stocky white man with a bulbous red nose, grinned genially and waved. Not to be outdone, Alderman Fred Clark, known to his constituents as Steady Freddy, stood up and blew kisses. Elegantly turned out in a silk shirt and a designer suit, Alderman Clark was the epitome of the successful South Side politician. Smooth and genial, as long as you stayed on his good side. Now it was time for the grand finale. The showstopper Bertie and her choir had been rehearsing for months. Hip-hop music began to throb from the 16 speakers lining the walls of the auditorium. On a screen at the back of the stage, the image of a black Santa waved from the driver's seat of a Hummer H2 convertible. Illumined in the glare of a single spotlight, LaShawn Thomas danced his way to the microphone at the center of the stage. "Yo, Englewood, what's up?" LaShawn shouted, pumping his fist in the air. Before we go ahead with our final number, I want to give a shout out to my man, Alderman Fred Clark. Can I get a spotlight here? That's right. Shine the light on our one and only Steady Freddy Clark, the voice of Englewood. Do you know he's running for re-election this spring? As the white circle of light focused on the alderman, LaShawn pulled the microphone close to his lips. But instead of singing "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," he began to rap. Here in the hood, we think Clark's a saint, but I want to tell you all a saint he ain't. Clark talks all fine like his shit don't stink, but the man be lying. Let me tell you what I think. Steady Freddy Clark is a butt-kissing flunky, a liar, a crook, and a pill-popping junkie. A liar, a cook, and a pill-popping junkie. I'm standing in the wings watching this and thinking to myself, this can't be happening, Bertie said. It's like I was stuck in the middle of one of those 3D horror movies. Bertie, you got to be kidding me, Ellen said, shaking her head in disbelief. What happened next? By this point, the entire performance center is in an uproar. Bertie continued grimly. LaShawn is standing in the center of the stage, spewing profanity with a spotlight on his face and a death grip on the microphone. Every other word out of his mouth is the N-word or the F-word or worse. The students are stamping their feet and hollering. Steady Freddy is shaking his fist and shouting. Mayor Davis looks like he's having a heart attack. And Chancellor Grant is trying to pull himself over the footlights and onto the stage. It's a good thing I wasn't there, Bert. I'd have slapped that boy upside his nappy little head. What on earth was his problem? Do you think he was high or something? Didn't seem like it. When the lights finally came on, LaShawn was standing there with tears running down his face. He ran out the stage door before I could say a word. I haven't heard from him since.